Television was in its infancy. Well, I thought it was just another job, so I took it. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine what would happen to us. During one I Love Lucy episode, something went so wrong that Lucy and Ethel broke character completely. They started laughing for real right in the middle of the scene. Their genuine reaction was so powerful that the producers faced a choice. Reshoot their entire sequence or keep this unplanned moment. What happened next shocked the crew. Instead of calling cut, they made a decision that changed television forever. The laughter you see on screen isn't acting. It's pure unrehearsed emotion. And there's a dark reason why they kept it rolling. Before cameras even rolled, Lucy and Desi were earning about $5,000 per week together, which was a solid TV salary in 1951. But they wanted to film the show on 35 Admirer in Hollywood, and that cost far more than CBS planned to spend. So they made an offer that seemed almost foolish at the time. They agreed to take as small a weekly paycheck as long as they could keep full ownership of the filmed episodes. Executives barely reacted because reruns were considered useless back then. People believe a show could not be shown twice since everyone would have already seen it. So CBS nodded and moved on. No one knew that decision would start a quiet revolution. Because over the next decade, those 179 filmed episodes aired again and again across the country. Then they spread beyond the United States. By the early 1960s, Lucy and Desi sold those same episodes back to CBS for more than $4 million. One pay cut turned into generational wealth. It changed the business in a way no one expected. But the surprises did not stop there. Long before Vivian Vance and William Frawley stepped into the picture, Lucy wanted two people she already trusted. Bernadette and Gail Gordon had worked with her on My Favorite Husband from 1948 to 1951. On that show, they played Iris and Rudolph Atterbury, a married couple whose rhythms and timing felt like the perfect seed for Fred and Ethel. Lucy and her writers knew they would fit right into the new series. So, when I Love Lucy went into pre-production in 1951, their names were at the top of her list. Then everything fell apart in the most ordinary way. Contracts. Bernadette was tied to the George Burns and Gracie Allen show. Gordon was stuck in other radio and television work. Both had toed Klein even though they wanted to bet hey. Still, the story took a softer turn years later. Gordon eventually joined Lucy in several later shows, and Bernadette became a star in her own right when she led Petticoat Junction from 1963 to 1968. That the roles slipped away, but their careers did not. Meanwhile, the show Lucy and Desi were building was about tour-shaped television from the inside. When CBS agreed to launch I Love Lucy in 1951, many people gave Desi credit for inventing the three-camera system. But the real architects were Carl Freund and Al Simon. They had years of studio experience and knew how to take an idea that already existed and push it into something sharp and reliable. They arranged three 35mm Mitchell BNC cameras to run at the same time. One quarter-wide shot. The others picked up mediums and close-ups. Performances flowed without stopping. To make this work, Desi leased the worn-out General Service Studios on Las Palmas Avenue. The place was nearly broke, but the owner, Jimmy Nasser, let them rebuild 2 sound stages. They added seating for about 300 people and still met strict fire code rules. By the time the team finished, the setup looked like something new. In 1952, it stunned their industry. A full 20 to 22-minute episode could be captured in roughly 60 minutes of real time. Scenes played in one continuous rhythm. Actors did not lose momentum. Editors gained crystal clear material. And the show became the most efficient comedy machine in Hollywood. That it arrived on American television like a sudden jolt on Monday night, October 15th, 1951, right at 9 o'clock in the evening Eastern Time, when families were sitting together and settling in. And within a single year, this little half-hour sitcom was reaching more than half of all homes that even owned a TV. The number sat at a 50.9 Nielsen rating with an average of about 23.3 million viewers during that 1951 to 1952 debut season. Nothing else from that era started like that. Then the show climbed season after season. Across 6 years from 1951 to 1957, it finished as the #1 show in America 4 different times. No scripted show had ever done that before. And when the final original episode aired in May 1957, it left the air still sitting at the very top of the ratings. That kind of exit did not happen again until The Andy Griffith Show ended in 1968 and later Seinfeld in 1998. For early 50s television, this level of dominance felt unreal. Yet there it was every Monday night. Then came January 19th, 1953, and the country saw something strange. Lucille's pregnancy episode beat the President of the United States. That night, the episode called Lucille Goes to the Hospital showed the birth of little Ricky, and it pulled in an estimated 44 million viewers, which was about 71.7% of all television households in the country. The next day, Dwight D. Eisenhower took the oath of office. Yet his inauguration broadcast drew around 29 million viewers. So almost 15 million more people chose to watch a sitcom mother giving birth in a New York apartment rather than a real general becoming president in Washington. It became the clearest proof that this show held America's attention like nothing else. 2 months later, the show reached a high point that almost looks like a mistake when you read it. On March 8, 1953, a single Monday broadcast of I Love Lucy was watched in 72.6% of all American households, with a TV Nielsen showed roughly 15.8 million TVOMs tuned in, which translated to about 40-foot, 431 near to 200 viewers for just 1.5 hours of comedy. It meant that if 3 neighbors on a street in early 1953 owned televisions, 2 of them were watching Lucy Ricardo that night. And the same season had many other episodes sitting in the high 60s and low 7s. The show was no longer just entertainment. It had turned into a weekly national gathering with people across the country laughing at the same moment in their living rooms. The numbers from the first full season make it even clearer. During that 1951 to 1952 year, CBS measured an average audience of about 23,363, the 100 people per episode tied to that huge 50.9 household rating. 1 out of every 2 TV homes that had the set turned on was watching the same show. Most Americans were still buying their first television sets during that time, yet I Love Lucy already behaved like a permanent national routine. No other brand new series of the early 50s reached anything close to that mix of 40 in size and share. Trade papers and networks began treating Lucy and Desi as a new kind of television creator, someone who could bring in tens of millions whenever they appeared on screen. Money proved it. By 1953, each original episode was generating around $1 million in advertising revenue. In today's numbers, that is close to $11 million for a single 25-minute comedy episode. Advertisers who sold cigarettes or household goods were happy to pay that because the show could reliably place their message in front of more than 40 million viewers every Monday evening. Lucy's face started showing up everywhere on dolls, jewelry, clothing lines, comic books, and even furniture promotions. It created one of the earliest TV-based merchandising empires. The mix of huge ratings and a growing consumer market turned this show from a sitcom into a blueprint for the modern television franchise that earns most of its money far beyond the broadcast itself. When Lucille Ball learned she was pregnant in mid-1952, the news did not feel joyful in the way she expected. Instead of celebration, she walked straight into fear because CBS executives almost shut down the entire show. Pregnancy on TVW considered risky in that era. People worried it would offend viewers. Some even said families would stop watching. So meetings were held and real tension filled the room while they discussed ending the series. Jesse Oppenheimer refused to let that happen. He pushed and pushed because he believed Lucy's real pregnancy could turn into something fresh for the show. After many arguments, he finally convinced CBS to allow it, but only after they put strict rules in place. Every script had to be checked by a priest, a rabbi, and a Protestant minister. This was the first time any major network let a pregnancy appear on screen, and it changed television in a quiet but powerful way. Time passed and more rules came. CBS and Philip Morris created a ban so firm that the cast was not allowed to say the word pregnant anywhere, not even during rehearsals. People had to use softer words like expecting or having a baby or French word in auntie. Yet there was a small loophole. Episode titles never appeared on screen. So newspapers published a listing called Pregnant Women Are Unpredictable without breaking any rule. That little trick showed how strange broadcast censorship could be even when a show tried to move forward. Then came the night that made history. On January 19th, 1953, Lucy gave birth to Desi Orange Jr. through a cesarean section. At the same time, an episode called Lucy Goes to the Hospital aired across America. Over 44 million people watched it. That was 72% of all households in the country. Movie theaters even projected the episode on their big screens because the moment felt that important. It saved the show, proved audiences wanted real stories, and shaped what television could become. Of course, the show was not perfect. In a nightclub scene, a microphone boom dropped into the frame and stayed there for 53 straight seconds. It hung above their actors like no one noticed it. Early television moved so fast that mistakes slipped through easily. With only one microphone recording everything, the crew focused on sound, not the picture. So, the boom stayed. Fans still pointed out because it lasted almost a full minute. There were other slip-ups, too. During the pilot, Lucy ran between rooms and a wall that was supposed to stay hidden flashed into view. A camera even rolled into the frame during a phone scene. 3 cameras worked at once in those days, and keeping them all invisible was tough. The pace of filming left no time to fix things like that. So, the moment stayed in the broadcast and became part of the show's long list of small but charming errors. Sometimes those errors were much bigger. In Lucille Learns to Drive, the vintage cars could not run at all, so the crew tied thick black cables to them and dragged them into view. The cables swing around in shots, clearly visible, especially when the cars moved. High-defin releases make the cables even easier to spot, turning the episode into a favorite for fans who enjoy catching old production tricks. Not every unexpected moment was a mistake, though. In the mustache episode, Lucy dressed as a man to sneak into a club. While trying to escape, her fake mustache fell off. She and Ethel broke into sudden real laughter. It was not planned. It was not in the script, but the joy on their faces felt so genuine that the producers kept the take. Their friendship and timing came through naturally, and that moment became one of the most loved bloopers